Hey, Joe Joe in the morning. I hope everybody's having a really, really good day. I want to talk to you about something today that will help you. First of all, I want to let you know my dear friend, Pastor Andrew Tao from the Ramp Chattanooga just wrote this book right here. It's a new book that just came out. I had the honor to write one of the endorsements alongside Apostle Ryan Lestrange, Prophet John Veal, Kim Owens, Joan Hunter, powerful men and women of God, and the actual foreword was by Perry Stone. But the book is called Breaking the Spirit of Delilah. Now, you know, in the Bible, it talks about Samson, okay? Well, Samson was drawn to this woman. One of her main gifts is she was beautiful, okay? A lot of times in life, and this is what I want to talk to you about, please hear me, you will be drawn to somebody because of a gift that they have. It's just how things work. Now, a lot of times in life, what happens is people notice others' gifts, but they bypass a red flag on their character, their integrity, or their morality. I remember one time we were going to do counseling for this young lady at this church we were at, and she came in and was just, upset and distraught, and had been a godly girl and saved herself from marriage, and then she was just like, my husband, I just don't know what's wrong with him. And I said, okay. And so we were talking, and I knew her husband. I was just, we lived in the same town, and I was looking, I'm like, here we are, a preacher's daughter, saved herself from marriage, and married one of the absolute wildest guys I've ever met in my life. Never known him to be in church at all. And she said, for some reason, I just thought I could win him to the Lord after we got married. She was drawn to something in him, but his patterns of his life were just so out of whack. There was no way. I don't know if you're following me. Like I said, I never knew this guy to be in church, and then this church girl married him thinking. I remember one time I was doing a pre-marriage counseling, and I was doing 5 sessions. And on week 1, I was 30 minutes in. I said, whoa, we're at a major roadblock, guys. We got huge issues before we go on. And she was like, nah, I'll change them. It didn't go very good. And I went to both sets of parents, and I said, hey, this is not going good. I'm just going to tell you. They were attracted to certain gifts each other had, but their character, morality, and spiritual level was nowhere on the same plane. Well, they didn't like what I said. They went and got married, and it lasted a few months, and it was a train wreck. And yes, they got a divorce real quick. And, a lot of times that happens in life. Had a guy tell me one time, he came just frustrated, and he said, man, my business partner literally stole millions and millions of dollars from me. And I said, well, what was his track record? He said, well, he's been in and out of businesses for years. I said, like, in and out means he got in them, then got out, got in, got out. Most successful people get in a business, stay in a business, start another business, stay in it. I said, why would you jump into business with a guy like that? And so people, they have these patterns. A while back, someone came to our church, very gifted individual, and said, hey, I feel the Lord led me here. And I'm like, I said, hey, I've known you for years. You're a good person. You're a really good person. But you're in and out of churches every year, and you cause disruption. I like you. You're a good person, but you're going to want immediate leadership, and it's just not happening here. You have a pattern. Don't get caught up in somebody's flair or somebody's gift mix that you bypass what they're doing. A lot of people in business will hire somebody who, they know can help their business immediately, and they don't really dive in and look at their life. that a lot of people do that in churches, and it's a train wreck waiting to happen. I'm slow to partner with people in different things because it leaves a bad taste in your mouth. And so when you're looking for people to partner with in life, I'm not talking about marriage. Well, yes, marriage too. But when you're looking, to run with people, you need to make sure that their commitment level is strong. And in the story of Samson and Delilah, Delilah, she was, like, Samson, tell me where your strength is. And he would, tell her a little something that wasn't true. And so he was lying and she was manipulating and deceiving, and it did not work out. So many times when I counsel people and I find out, we dive into their problem or issue or what's going wrong in their business when I do like one-on-one consulting in business or in ministry. And I'm like, hey, you started off with bad seed. A bad seed will not produce good fruit. If you plant an apple seed, don't expect oranges, okay? If you've got a bad seed it's just not going to work. Y'all tracking with me? It's the whole spirit of Delilah. It's just manipulating, and it's going after your strength. Delilah lied and told Samson she loved him and this and that, and you know how people are. But there was no solid ground in the relationship. When people go into business with one another, I had somebody the other day say, hey man, I want to be a health coach in your health coaching business with you. And I'm like, no, I can refer you to somebody. I want people to run with me long term. In ministry, I'm looking for people to run with me long term. I'm not looking for short term. That's the problem with a lot of people in life. You living in Texarkana, bought cars from a few different car lots, and sometimes you'll see a salesman at this lot, this lot, this lot, this lot, this lot. You'll see a school teacher at this school and this school and this school and this school. I know a guy one time in town, good guy. He was a good guy, but he was a youth pastor in 5 churches in about 10 years, just bouncing around. What happens a lot of times in life is when you connect with somebody in a relationship, you don't really build a deep foundational trust. Like when my wife and we got married, as soon as I saw her, I knew she was the one. I think it took her about 2 weeks to really hear from the Lord. And I think we dated or courted. We courted for like 8 months. Then we got married in 7 months. We knew each other for 15 months. But what we would do is we would sit down and we went deep into conversations. We went deep. We said, ask me anything. The freedom to ask me anything. And we would dive off into asking each other deep questions. Because we'd both been involved in ministry and we knew how things worked. And so we wanted to make sure things were good. Okay? And so when I first saw my wife, within the first second or two, I knew she was my wife. And like I said, I think she liked me. But she really wanted to pray about it and hear from the Lord. And an intercessor came up to her, she said, hey, that guy right there. But what we did is we started to talk, and we dove deep into conversations and questions and theology and just different, what are your dreams? And so we shared each other's dreams, and we saw that they were going to just really come together strongly. And so you got to do that in life, and even with business partners. Like even all of the people that do all of our health coaching with us, I'll be like, hey, let's get on the phone once a week and let's really find out your dreams and your why and your heart for people. And we do weekly counseling, not counseling, consulting kind of, and we track their business. We're constantly building business relationships. Same way in ministry. Whenever I was younger and I worked at different churches, I always wanted to dive in with the head pastor and meet for about an hour once a week and help hear their vision so I could help make their vision come to pass. I always wanted to serve and intercede and pray. And so one of the things is in life, don't rush into things when you really don't understand the backstory, when you don't understand a lot of things that are going on. And with that being said, it's important, and I'm sure, you got people who write, books like this right here, is to help people. A lot of times when a couple may get a divorce that I really didn't know till at the end, where I was trying to jump in late in the game and, help them. I'm amazed at when, before they got married, they didn't talk about finances. They didn't talk about ex-relationships. They didn't talk about how do you handle money. They didn't talk about where we're going to spend the holidays at, how we're going to do this, how we're going to do, they didn't do any of that. They just went head on, and then all of a sudden they started hitting roadblocks. Business people, I've seen people jump into multi-million-dollar deals and never ask, to see each other's track record on business, and they do things completely differently. So the spirit of Delilah, I want you to understand, everybody has gifts, talents, and abilities, and that's what attracts you to people, makes an offer look attractive, makes a ministry look attractive. The thing is, but do you know morals? Do you know character, integrity, and track record? I remember one time I got to preach when I was younger at a really big conference with a lot of very well-known people. And I felt I was, it was okay for me to go. So I went, and we got there, and they had this massive green room with all of these, had dinner and had little snack things and different types of, they had juices and different types of cool waters and different little things like that. It was real cool. The who's who of ministry were there. And they were all really cool, and I was hanging out, getting to meet people. And I thought it was a great experience. And then it was about 30 minutes before service, and I asked the host, I said, hey, where's the prayer room at? He went, prayer room? We didn't set one up for this. I said, okay. I said, man, y'all just got like a room I could go to. And one of the speakers, I remember he laughed. He said, oh gosh, you're one of those guys. I said, 100%. Now let me eat my steak real quick and then take me to the prayer room. I ate my steak, boy. And so I went to the prayer room. The next morning, I had the full Saturday morning session, and they went back in the green room and had a real good breakfast and talked to some cool people. There were people there from Bethel. There were people there from Planet Shakers. There were just a bunch of cool people, some from Morning Star. And so I said, hey man, this is my session. I'm preaching this morning. I need about 30 minutes. And one of the guys said, oh, you got to go cry out to God. I said, 100%. So I went and preached. Went and prayed. They took me down to this little Sunday school room, and I prayed. And we went and had service. And when I say the glory of God fell, the glory of God fell. When service was over, the host said, man, I've been doing this particular conference in this city for 5 years. That was the most powerful session we've ever had in 5 years. And I said, don't ever think it was me or even the phenomenal worship guy that we had. It was because I spent 30 minutes really going after God. When it was over, the keynote speaker, and I'm not going to say his name because you know him, came up to me and said, what would have happened last night if I, the big keynote speaker, would have went and hit the place of prayer like I used to when I started 20 years ago? He said, Jojo, what would my service been like? I said, oh, it would have been phenomenal. That was good because this guy's anointed. And he said, you have driven me back to the place of prayer, and I will never, ever again go to a conference and not ask for the prayer room. Thank you. Now, let me tell you the part that kind of got me on this. This guy's one of my heroes. A lot of times when you meet your heroes in life, they'll hurt your feelings. You'll meet them and you'll be like, ooh, you're not quite who I thought you were. I don't care how good you are. I don't care what you do. Never become a professional. Never outgrow the prayer room. Don't you ever outgrow the Word of God. Never. Okay? Well, that's it for today. Man, I love you guys. Stay in that place of prayer. That there's a lot of flashy things out there in the world that can pull you one way or the other. But you stay true to the pure and the holy things of the Lord. God's got great things in store for you. Love you guys.